Ex-husband's mockery backfires. Heartwarming reunion reveals his poor ex is now a millionaire. In Oakwood Hills, where every house looked like a postcard and the air was thick with the mouth-watering scent of barbecue, whispers began to swirl. Lisa, a single mother in her late 30s, had transformed her failures into an inspiring success. Less than a year ago, she had been the butt of Dave's jokes, the cocky ex-husband who sneered at her dreams of starting an art-based business. But oh, how the tables turned. Lisa's new venture had skyrocketed, capturing attention and intrigue that made even the toughest critics pause. Did you hear? She's doing what? $1 million startup showcasing local art. Neighbors murmured over backyard fences, eyes wide in disbelief. All those late nights spent working at the dining table, surrounded by crayon-stained kids' art, had finally paid off. Yet the echoes of Dave's disdain still resonated in her mind. She could almost hear him saying, "You think you can make it, Lisa?" And what was that about the irony? Just when it felt like the shadows of self-doubt were closing in, her story went viral. It spread on social media like wildfire, fueled by connections and hashtags that lit up screens across the country. Suddenly, Lisa found herself at the center of a heartwarming narrative, one that celebrated her triumph over adversity. Every thumbs up and heart emoji felt like a small victory. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Though the joy of newfound success danced at the edges of her heart, the reality hit her with a thud. The upcoming high school reunion loomed large, twisting knots in her stomach. The memories of standing in the halls of Maplewood High, feeling invisible beside the popular crowd, were still fresh. And the thought of coming face to face with Dave, whose sarcastic smirk had haunted her dreams, made her chest tighten. What would he say when he saw her? Would he brush her off again, or acknowledge the fire she had ignited? As the reunion night approached, Lisa prepared, heart racing with a newfound courage. The familiar scent of old-school perfumes and colognes hit her as she entered the gym, transformed into a sparkling venue. Tired memories intertwining with fresh hopes. With every greeting from classmates, she felt a swell of pride, a sense of belonging that had long eluded her. And then it happened. There, in the midst of old friends and familiar faces, she found him, Dave. The air thickened. Anticipation danced between the two. His eyes were still sharp, his voice dripping with skepticism. As he opened his mouth, Lisa held her breath, ready to defy the expectations, fueled by a fire she thought had dimmed. This was her moment. Would she remain the quiet girl in the shadows, or rise as a beacon of defiance against all he had mocked? As their eyes locked, the electric atmosphere pulsed with tension. The crowd watched, breaths collectively held, anxious murmurs floating around her. What she chose to say next could change everything. "Lisa, you really pulled it off." Dave's voice broke the silence, laced with disbelief. The crowd waited, every eye glued to the two former lovers, curiosity dancing in the air like sunlight through trees. The tension was unbearable. Lisa felt her heart in her throat, thundering against her ribcage. Surprised? She finally managed, her voice steady, mixing feistiness with the softness of nostalgia. But as she spoke, her thoughts spiraled back to all those moments when she had felt small under his shadow, unworthy of the dreams she dared to chase. "Honestly, yeah, didn't he think you had it in you?" he replied, crossing his arms, a flicker of his old arrogance coming to the surface. But Lisa saw something else in his eyes, something deeper, now tinged with something that almost looked like respect. "People can change, you know," she shot back, forcing herself to match his gaze. She was terrified, yet exhilarated. This was about more than just confronting Dave. This was about reclaiming her life, her story. The crowd exhaled collectively, a wave of fuzzy whispers moving like ripples in a pond. Dave's friends began to crowd near him, laughter erupting at their table, where old high school stories were shared like cheap snacks being passed around. All of those familiar faces did nothing but watch, waiting for the drama to unfold. "So what is your secret?" he teased, smirk still present but with a hint of approval. Did you win the lottery? Or start selling miracle elixirs? The laughter from his friends intensified. Bitterness hung within Lisa momentarily. Yet she could feel the pulse of courage coursing through her veins. Something like that, she said, her lips curving into a confident smile. It was hard work. Late nights and tons of rejections. It wasn't luck. It was determination. The applause began around her, trickling from a few classmates, and then spilling into a full-blown cheer. Look at that Lisa, the millionaire. Who knew Oakwood Hills was filled with such hidden talents? Congratulations, but hey, not all that glitters is gold, Dave responded, still pretending to play coy. But it was different now. This time, Lisa felt a flicker of kindness beneath the mocking tone. Why don't you check it out for yourself? She challenged, her chest tightening with a heady mix of exhilaration and anxiety. The moment lingered. The room filled with chatter, shifting slowly into playful banter. Just like that, a new path opened up. Students were curious and serious, crowding closer now. What's the name of your startup? I could use some inspiration, he asked, curiosity flashing in his eyes, breaking through the humor. Artistry on a budget, she replied, a fierce pride blooming in her chest. It showcases the best local artists just like you used to mimic my doodles, she added, casting a sly glance at him. And just like that, the audience burst into delighted laughter. Yet, even in this feeling of victory, something tugged at her gut. What was his real game? Was this genuine curiosity, or was Dave laying the groundwork for something darker? The comfort of the moment felt fragile, as if it might shatter with one wrong word. Before she could dwell on it, the lights flickered, and the DJ spun the music, turning the atmosphere from tension to jubilation. Lisa moved into the rhythm, blending in with familiar faces. But then she caught Dave's gaze once more. And within that lingering stare, Lisa saw something unsettling. Was it a hint of jealousy? Or was it a deeper vulnerability that sent chills racing down her spine? But what she didn't see was the plan brewing in Dave's mind as he turned away to whisper to someone in the crowd. A smirk forming across his face. The reunion wasn't just a walk down memory lane. It was the beginning of something poised to twist and turn in ways Lisa could never foresee. What was lurking beneath the surface? The music pulsed through the hall, vibrating in Lisa's chest, a momentary distraction from the unsettling thoughts swirling in her mind. As she danced and laughed, the surface shimmered, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something darker simmered just below. Dave's smirk evoked memories of buried resentments, the times he dismissed her dreams with a flick of his hand. It felt surreal to stand here, shoulder to shoulder with people who used to think she was invisible. But now she was vibrant. She was the star of the reunion. Yet, she couldn't rid herself of the icy grip his stare had on her. Across the room, whispers erupted. People were pointing, laughing, and comparing notes. She caught snippets of their conversations that made her heart sink. Can you believe she made it big? Followed by incredulous gasps. And there was the familiar undertone of jealousy that had shadowed her in high school. Was she a show-off now? Dave, looking remarkably less refined in comparison to her dazzling success, raised a glass in a mock toast. To the comeback queen. May your kind flourish. The laughter erupted again, but it was different this time, tinged with something sharp, something that made her skin prickle. Why are you so concerned with my success? Lisa shot back, feeling the words surge through her lips before she could censor them. The crowd dampened, tensions thickening like fog. Dave leaned in, a hint of menace behind his casual demeanor. Concerned? I'm just checking if you're not too far gone to remember the little people. His words slashed through the air, and her heart raced. Did he really think she'd let him diminish her moment? Just as she opened her mouth to respond, a loud crash echoed from behind them. Glass shattered, sending a gasp racing through the reunion crowd. Instinctively, Lisa turned. Her gut clenched. She knew it wasn't an accident. The dim corner of the ballroom. A figure was struggling against two others, trying to break free. A familiar face. It was Mike, Dave's old buddy, looking wild-eyed and unruly. What are you doing, Mike? Lisa's pulse quickened. She could sense this wasn't going to end well. Whispers plastered against the edges of her hearing, collective shock bubbling around her. He's just drunk. Let him go? Dave barked nervously, sensing the shift in mood, stepping back from her side. Lisa's heart thudded louder. Was this Mike's final attempt at seeking some kind of validation through chaos? Before she could react, Mike managed to wrench himself away, stumbling towards the crowd. You all think you're better than me. You don't know anything. His voice rose, punctuated by desperation, and suddenly all eyes darted towards him, commuting untranslatable sentiments of concern and fear. Get away from me, loser! Dave shouted, his composure fracturing. But Lisa's chest tightened. The outburst was closer than a mere drunken rant. There was vulnerability hiding behind those wild eyes that she recognized all too well. Let us try to calm down, okay? She stepped forward, hoping her voice could cut the rising tension. There's no need for this. But Mike wasn't listening. His eyes locked onto Lisa, rippling with raw emotion. You think you can just forget us, Lisa? You forgot where you came from. Hold your breath. The tension in the air hung thick, electrifying every heart. She didn't know what to say. A part of her wanted to placate the memory of the past that lingered in Mike, but another part screamed to separate herself from it all. Suddenly, Dave's eyes darted around, his mask of bravado replaced by something darker. This is her moment, Mike. He snapped, as if putting on an act to deflect Mike's anger onto her once more. Lisa's heart sank. If this turned violent, if secrets began spilling in a drunken stupor, where would that leave her? As the crowd held their collective breath, Lisa felt the foundations shaking. What would Mike reveal? What returns from the past would threaten her future? Then the lights flickered, plunging everyone into brief darkness. A gasp moved through the room, and in that moment, more than just fragile memories were at stake. Fingers of unease traced up her spine. Another storm was brewing, and it threatened to unearth everything she had fought so hard to protect. What would happen next? The lights flickered back on, casting harsh shadows across the room. Lisa's heart pounded, each beat reverberating like a drum. In the moment, the laughter that had once echoed warmly felt like a distant memory. All eyes were on Mike, and with his wild-eyed stare fixed on her, the weight of their shared history hung between them like an unforgiving storm cloud. No, this is not happening, she whispered to herself, backing up slightly, until her shoulders pressed against the cool wall behind her. Panic raced through her veins, clashing with the vibrant persona she'd carefully crafted. What secrets did Mike hold? What truths could unravel the life she'd fought for? Mike, please calm down, she pleaded, her voice cutting through the dwindling murmurs. This isn't the way. He swayed precariously, like a ship in a storm. You think you're better than us now, huh? Just look at you. Miss Perfect with your shiny career and your fancy clothes. Each word was laced with an underlying pain that turned her stomach. Stop it, Dave shouted suddenly, a mixture of anger and fear flashing in his eyes. You don't want to do this. His bravado trembled as fear of exposed truths knotted in his gut. The crowd shifted, curiosity edging toward chaos, their expressions morphing from shock to a hungry desire for scandal. Lisa could hear whispers of the past, what happened that night, the drunk driving incident that changed everything, the whispers of lost friendships and quiet betrayals. Through it all, Mike stood his ground, rage and desperation merging into something terrifying. You used to care, Lisa? You and me against the world. Now you've forgotten just how dark it can get. Mike, I haven't forgotten. Her words caught in her throat, stifled by looming fears. As she searched for the right words, flashbacks of their childhood flooded her mind, the laughter, the dreams, the moment it all turned sour. Suddenly, Mike stepped closer, closing the distance between them, his breath hot and ragged. You think you're a star now? You're just wearing a mask, just like everyone else. A flicker of sadness washed over Lisa. Was he right? Had she become the person she always wanted to escape? Just as she opened her mouth to respond, those flickering lights died again, plunging the ballroom into darkness. Panic erupted. Gasps and shouts filled the air, and Lisa felt hands gripping her, pulling her back. Stay back, she yelled, feeling trapped between her fears and the chaos unfolding. The sounds of furniture scraping, heels clattering against the hardwood floor, and frantic whispers created a cacophony around her. Scrambling to find composure, she shouted above the din, "Everyone, stop. This isn't helping." But her words were lost to the chaos. Someone bumped into her shoulder hard, sending her staggering forward. The crowd had transformed into a sea of confusion, and then a scream pierced through the noise. Someone call for help. There's a fight. Panic swelled in her chest. The reunion had morphed into something horrifying, morphing her triumphant moment into a nightmare. As Lisa struggled to regain her balance, her heart raced with a new realization. Sometimes it only takes a moment, a single spark, to ignite a history that refuses to stay buried. When the lights flickered back on again, the sight that greeted her sent shockwaves through her. Someone lay sprawled on the floor, a familiar figure amidst the chaos, with horrified faces surrounding them. What had just happened? And was it too late to turn back? Lisa's heart raced anew. The past wasn't done with her yet, and the consequences were unfolding faster than she could handle what had been revealed. And were they prepared for the fallout? Lisa's eyes widened in disbelief as she took in the scene before her. There, on the floor, lay Mike, his expression a mix of shock and fury, dark crimson staining the white of his shirt. The chaos around her morphed into a surreal tableau. Guests frozen mid-movement, some covering their mouths in horror, while others fumbled for their phones, desperate to capture the moment. No, this isn't happening. She thought again, her heart pounding in sync with the rising panic in the room. Her mind raced as she took hesitant steps toward Mike, worry flooding her veins. Could she reach him in time? Was he hurt? The crowd parted, allowing her to push through, but she felt the weight of their stares, heavy and judgmental. What are you doing, Lisa? Whispered a random voice from the crowd. You think this is about you? Shut up. She wanted to scream. This was about Mike, his pain an echo of the tormenting shadows from their past. She crouched beside him, her breath hitching when he groaned softly. Get away. Mike spat, wincing as he tried to move. The anger in his eyes battled with something else: vulnerability, defeat. A moment of clarity crossed his face as he recognized her. Why did you come back? His words came out slurred and broken. Each syllable felt like a plummet off a cliff, taking her memories with him, memories she had spent years attempting to forget. I just wanted to see everyone. I thought things could be different, she stuttered, the truth clawing its way to the surface. Different? Look around. His laughter was harsh, a guttural sound that cut through her. Do you really think you can erase what you left behind? The people you broke? His words stung like a slap. She flinched, memories flooding in. The tears, the anger, the way they stood on either side of a chasm that had once connected them. She shook her head, willing away the memories. It was time for a fresh start. But here she was, swallowed whole by the past. As paramedics rushed in, their flashing lights painted the walls in vibrant strokes of red and blue. Lisa didn't even hear the pulse of the music anymore. All she could focus on was Mike's desperate eyes. He was slipping away, and she could feel her own life unraveling in tandem. Then came the whispers again, more insistent, more pervasive. People shifted, pointing fingers and throwing around speculations. She could barely breathe. What happened before? What is going on between them? Dave appeared, fumbling as he placed a hand on Lisa's shoulder. I tried to hold him back. Lisa, I didn't mean for this to happen, he said. His eyes were wide, reflecting their shared horror. Where is he? Mike hissed suddenly, his voice now laced with pain, panic creeping back into his tone. Dave, don't pretend to care. The truth is coming. Aren't you afraid? Silence fell heavy again, the tension almost unbearable. Lisa felt as if every soul in the room was holding its breath, waiting for something to crack. Enough, she shouted, needing to silence the whispers. None of us are perfect. We all have our scars. The room stalled, but the darkness of their shared past loomed larger than before, and Lisa felt it closing in, threatening to swallow them whole yet again. Mike's gaze suddenly turned distant. You think you can shine your way out of this? We're just shadows of our choices, he rasped, and with that, the ambulance crew shifted him onto a stretcher. Hope slipped from her grasp as they wheeled him away. Was he right? Had she really outshone her past, or had she just thrown a wider frame around it? The room erupted into murmurs, a cacophony of guilt and confusion. Lisa stood frozen, her heart crumpling under the weight of old ghosts rising again, clawing to be seen. Then, silence. Eyes turned toward the exit as the paramedics rolled Mike out. Lisa stepped forward, desperate for answers, but a hand caught her arm. It was Dave, shaking his head slowly. We can't lose you both. Dave, what do you know? The words spilled out, urgency zinging through her. But he only sighed, his face clouded. You have to find the truth and fast. That's when realization gripped her. There was more to the night than just Mike's eruption. A lingering shadow threatened to pull her back in, and she had to confront it before it consumed everyone she cared about. What did Mike mean? What was the truth he feared? Lisa locked eyes with the door Mike had just exited from. A storm was brewing outside, and with it, the secrets of their past. How long could she pretend it was all forgotten? The moment for confrontation was dawning, and the darkness of uncertainty called her name. Lisa felt a chill down her spine as she stared at the exit, her mind racing with possibilities. Each second seemed to stretch, taunting her with unanswered questions. The whispers from the crowd grew louder, each idea more scandalous than the last. What had Mike meant about the truth? Lisa, we need to get out of here, Dave urged, gripping her arm tightly. His voice cut through the noise, but it barely registered. This isn't safe anymore. Safe? Her voice shot out like a bullet. What do you know about safe? Can we really be safe until we face this? The urgency of the moment hung in the air, like the heavy scent of ozone before a storm. She could feel it deep in her gut, the unresolved tension, the uncertainty gnawing at her like a hungry beast. She had come back hoping for reconciliation, yet found herself thrown into chaos. Look, Dave continued, his tone softer now. Let us just go. Give it time. You can figure this out without whatever this is. He gestured at the room, thick with tension and unresolved emotions. But she couldn't leave. Not like this. Not when there was still so much to uncover. No, she snapped, pulling away from his grip. What if leaving just makes it worse? I owe it to Mike and to myself to understand. Lisa, please. His pleading melted away any trace of anger she felt, and for a moment, her heart softened. Yet she knew she couldn't turn her back on this latest betrayal of circumstance. Mike's words echoed in her mind, a challenge and a warning all at once. She had to confront the shadows lurking in the corners of their past. Stay here if you want, but I'm going after him, she declared, staring hard at the door. Wait, Lisa, but she didn't hear the rest of his thought as she pushed her way through the throng, intent on uncovering what lay beyond that door. Each step felt like an act of defiance against the stories written in her past. As she stepped outside, the night air was thick with an electric tension, as if the world itself held its breath. Flashing lights blurred against the dark sky, illuminating a chaotic scene around the waiting ambulance. Mike's voice carried from within, panic evident in its rise and fall. You don't understand. He has always been there, lurking. You have to ask him. Lisa's breath caught in her throat. Who was lurking, and why was Mike so terrified? She pressed forward, determined to go as far as she could. The paramedics were focused on their tasks, but she caught sight of Mike through the open back of the ambulance, his face pale but fierce. Mike, she shouted, desperation leaking into her tone. What did you mean? Who is coming for us? He turned to her, his frustration morphing into a sudden solemnity. You have to know the truth about us, Lisa. About everyone. His voice was a low whisper, yet it felt like a tidal wave crashing over her, dragging her deeper into the chaos. A muted scream erupted nearby, sending a wave of panic coursing through her veins. What now? Lisa thought in horror, glancing around wildly. Suddenly, she noticed a figure slipping into the shadows just beyond the light. Heart pounding, she squinted into the darkness. Who was it? What did he mean by he has always been there? Dave's voice, now anxious, cut in again. Lisa, come back here. It's not safe. But Lisa's determination steeled her resolve. Fear was pooling like ice in her veins, yet she pushed it aside. She had to know. So many questions, and only so much time, she murmured to herself, squaring her shoulders. Stepping away from the chaos of the ambulance, she leaned into the shadows, the figure moving ever so slightly. A shiver of doubt and anticipation intertwined in her stomach. Was she brave enough to uncover whatever reality lay there? The air crackled, charged with uncertainty. As she took another step, a chilling thought crossed her mind. What if the truth was a darker burden than she could bear? What was waiting in the shadows? What truths would she unleash? The shadows felt alive, swirling around her like wraiths in the night. Each step Lisa took drew her deeper into a maze of uncertainty. The darkness seemed to wrap around her, inviting yet menacing, urging her to discover secrets better left buried. Stay back, Lisa. Dave's voice sliced through the night, thick with urgency and fear. She barely heard him, drawn like a moth to a flickering light. What if this figure held the key to unraveling everything, every lie, every hidden truth? The shape emerged from the obscurity, slowly materializing into a familiar figure. Lisa's heart dropped, recognition crashing into her like a wave. It was Aaron, the once familiar face from her past, now twisted into something shadowy and strange. "Aaron," she whispered, her voice trembling. Confusion and anger surged within her. "What are you doing here?" He stepped closer, eyes glinting with a mixture of triumph and dread. "I came to warn you." "Warn me? About what?" Lisa retorted, digging her heels into the ground, unsure if she wanted to confront or flee. "You don't have any right to be here. Do you think I chose this?" He spat, his voice cracking. "You didn't listen then, and you are damned if you think you'll survive this without knowing." "Survive what?" Panic gripped her. The night felt oppressive, as if it conspired to keep significant truths hidden. Aaron took a deep breath, his expression hardening. "It's already started. You need to find the truth before it finds you." Around them, the incident scene swirled with activity, paramedics rushing, voices rising, the blaring sirens echoing through the chaos, yet within this maelstrom, time paused for Lisa. "Truth?" she echoed incredulously. "What truth? Mike? He's not in danger. He just—" Her voice faltered, doubt creeping in. "What if he's involved?" Aaron's gaze darkened, the tension palpable. "You don't understand. The truth about Mike is more intertwined with this mess than you think." "Do you really think he's innocent?" With those words, the world shifted. Memories flooded back the two of them, secrets whispered in the dead of night. Cheating glances and hushed conversations swirled in her mind, intertwining with what she had believed was just ignorance, but now morphed into something ominous. "Why should I trust you, Aaron?" "Because I know what he is hiding." Just then, a commotion erupted nearby. A man burst from the throng of paramedics, eyes wild, body shaking as he stumbled into the light. "Get back. It's not safe," he howled, panic etched across his face. Lisa's breath caught in her throat again, heart racing. Who was this person? What did he know? Aaron grabbed her arm, pulling her close, urgency leaking into every word. "We need to leave. Now. If they find out you've connected any dots, they'll come for you next." Fear crept back in, cold and clawing. "For who?" Lisa demanded, still grappling with the weight of his warning. "What do you know? Will you just leave me hanging?" His jaw clenched, teeth grinding together. "You'll find your answers." But the darkness is already closing in before she could respond. She felt a shadow pass by them, a dark figure sliding through the chaos, as if hunting for prey. Lisa's pulse pounded in her ears, the sensation of being watched creeping up her spine. "Lisa, run," Aaron urged, eyes darting around. But the instinct to uncover the truth tethered her in place. Could she truly escape the web of secrets Mike had spun, or was she already ensnared in a trap of her own making? Her heart raced in time with the encroaching darkness, relentless and unforgiving. Lisa took a step forward, determination rising. "I'm not running anywhere until I know what's real," but just as she took the step, a voice boomed from behind her, chilling her to the bone. "Running won't save you, Lisa." Lisa's breath hitched. Just who had stepped into her reality, ready to shatter everything she thought she understood. Lisa spun around slowly, her heart thundering like a wild drum. The darkness hid the speaker, a mere silhouette against the chaos erupting around them. The voice had an edge sharp and taunting, slicing through her confusion. "Who are you?" Lisa demanded, bracing herself as if she were facing a ghost. There was something haunting in that voice, something twisting the pit of her stomach into knots. Only the figure stepped forward, the light from the nearest street lamp catching the glint of a twisted smile. It was a face she had never wanted to see again. Kevin, Mike's supposed ally, and an unexpected thorn in her side during the mess that was her marriage. The memory of his mocking laughter filled her with an icy dread. "Surprised to see me?" Kevin sneered, his gaze penetrating. "I have to admit, I almost didn't recognize you. You've really gone from caterpillar to butterfly, haven't you?" "Get lost, Kevin." Aaron spat, positioning himself protectively in front of Lisa. The tension between the two men crackled in the air. "Oh, I'm not here for him." Kevin shrugged with a condescending smile. "I'm here for you, Lisa." You're the one the shadows want, after all. Didn't he, you know? Lisa could feel every nerve ending in her body go cold. She knew she had housed secrets, but this? The claim felt like a leak of icy water in her veins. What do you mean? What do the shadows want with me? Kevin's grin widened, revealing a humorless delight. You think you can play detective, digging up old bones? There's a reason people like you should stay buried, and a few secrets are supposed to stay dead. There's nothing wrong with seeking the truth, Lisa shot back, forcing confidence into her voice. But deep down, self-doubt twisted at her, gnawing away at her resolve. Truth? Kevin laughed darkly. Tell me, what do you think the truth really is? That Mike was ever on your side? That he wouldn't throw you under the bus if it meant saving his own skin? It's already too late. Don't listen to him, Aaron urged, his voice taut. He's trying to twist your mind, just like the rest of them. But every word clawed at Lisa's confidence, flooding her with doubt. Was it possible? Had she been foolishly blind all along? Mike's late-night phone calls, the missed texts, it all suddenly felt heavy with significance. Before she could voice her questions, the sirens' wails grew louder, drowning out the chaos around them. As silhouettes of official figures moved toward them, Kevin's eyes darkened. Just remember, Lisa, he whispered, the warning suffused with malice. One truth leads to another, and not all of them will come to light in your favor. Suddenly, he turned, slipping into the fray like a shadow disappearing into night. Run, Lisa, Aaron urged again, urgency pounding in his voice. No, she resisted, feeling an inexplicable connection to the turmoil unraveling before her. There's too much at stake. But before she could take action, a dull thud emanated from the nearby crowd, turning every face toward the commotion. A figure fell to the ground, surrounded by paramedics, gasps filling the air like a shockwave that Lisa's instincts screamed at her. This was more than just a random incident, it felt tied to everything. The answers she craved were just out of reach. Trust me, this isn't safe. Aaron's desperation broke through her thoughts, but she couldn't look away. The crowd parted, and as the body was rolled over, Lisa's breath caught in her throat. It was unmistakable Mike. She gasped, the disbelief crashing into her. Why was he here? And why did it feel like she was destined to meet him in the eye of this storm, where every truth would clash and secrets would tumble into the open? Lisa edged closer, drawn into the whirlwind. Even as Aaron tugged at her arm, the facade of normalcy was peeling away. Lisa, he shouted, panic lacing his tone. But the truth was closer than she thought, and she was determined to face it head-on, no matter the cost. Lisa's heart raced as she rushed toward the lifeless figure sprawled on the ground. In that instant, the world around her faded into a dull buzz. Voices melted away, and the sirens became a distant memory. All that existed was the mangled body of the man she thought she knew. Mike, she cried out, her voice cracking like glass. She knelt beside him, trembling fingers grazing his shoulder. He looked pale, his eyes closed. A paramedic was already checking for a pulse, while others shouted orders, trying to reposition him. Panic surged within her, overwhelming any sense of logic. Get back! One of the medics snapped at her, but she couldn't leave. This was Mike. No matter the pain he may have caused, he had been her husband, her partner in the good, the confused, and the reckless days they worked. Lisa felt a magnetic pull dragging her deeper into the chaos. Aaron's hand on her shoulder grounded her, but the fluttering questions in her mind screamed for answers. What was he doing here? How had he ended up like this? Two officers approached, trying to control the crowd that had formed, faces tense and filled with muted shock. There were whispers, "Did you see what happened? Is he dead?" Each word sent ice through her veins, and she wanted to scream at them to stop. Lisa, you need to leave. This is not safe. Aaron insisted again, urgency turning his voice into a low growl. But fighting against his protective instincts, her brow furrowed. I can't. Not until I know what happened. Just then, Mike's eyes fluttered open, barely registering the chaos above him. His gaze fell on her, but recognition didn't dawn. It was dazed, confused. Something in that look made her heart ache. She saw panic creeping into those familiar features, a shadow of vulnerability she and T noticed before. Lisa, he whispered, voice hoarse, his brow furrowed as he struggled to sit up, but the medics gently held him down. Don't move, one shouted, trying to stabilize him. Yet he kept staring at Lisa, searching for her, as if she were an anchor in a storm tossing him around. Why are you here? He mumbled, his words barely making it through the haze of pain and confusion. She stumbled over her own words, caught between anger and relief. I was looking for you. I didn't know. Enough of this. Another officer called, approaching them with an intensity that made Lisa's jaw tighten. Ma'am, step away from him. But she couldn't. She refused. Something within her surged a desperate need to shield him from all the lies that had been spun into their lives. The truth felt treacherous, but it wasn't just Mike on the ground. It was everything they had built: broken trust, hidden emotions, and shadows that loomed over them like dark clouds. Mike struggled to sit up, his voice barely above a whisper carried over the rising din. You shouldn't have to know any of this, Lisa. It's dangerous. Lisa's breath caught. The weight of his words pressed down on her, and suddenly, everything Kevin had said echoed in her mind. The shadows wanted her? But why? Doubt crept in like a thief, stealing her conviction. She felt her resolve crack as questions pulsed through her head. What secrets had Mike buried? What lay hidden in the darkness he was trying so hard to shield her from? Before she could respond, the sound of a distant explosion shook the ground, deafening and terrifying. The crowd erupted into chaos, and Lisa stumbled back, oxygen locked in her lungs as panic spread like wildfire. She turned to find Aaron, cagey and alert, scanning the surroundings. We need to go, he shouted, urgency igniting his eyes. Too many questions, and too little time pressed in on her consciousness. Yet the pull of Mike, the risk of the truth, loomed larger than fear. With adrenaline rushing through her veins, Lisa made a choice. She would stay? Lisa, Aaron shouted, exasperation lacing the edges of his voice. But with the storm brewing inside her, she was determined to dig deeper, no matter the cost. What awaited her in the shadows? What was Mike truly hiding? The answers were close, and she was too far in to turn back now. Lisa felt a sudden rush of adrenaline whip through her as the explosion's echoes faded, reverberating against the walls of her mind. She watched the chaos unfold around her, but her focus remained squarely on Mike, who lay vulnerable before her. The paramedics worked frantically, yet all she saw were the sentinels of her past, now intertwined with a future she refused to abandon. What are you hiding, Mike? She whispered fiercely, her voice barely breaking through the cacophony. His eyes flickered again, haunted, pained, but resolute. This isn't what it seems, Lisa, he gasped, forcing himself a little higher despite the medic's commands. You don't understand what I got into. That permanence and precariousness spun together in her chest. Then make me understand. I came here seeking truth. Don't leave me hanging. Suddenly, everything shifted. The crowd's murmur rose as they felt the tension coiling tighter. Lisa could see curiosity and fear in their eyes. People craned their necks, inching closer, each nosy whisper sounding like a chorus of judgment. Did they sense the unraveling of a story? Could her past finally collide with her present? As if sensing her plight, Aaron moved closer. I can help you, but we need to get out of here, he insisted, urgency etched into his features. There's something lurking in the shadows. But what if the darkness is just waiting for an opportunity? Lisa replied, clenching her fists. If I don't confront this, I'll always be running. One of the medics, a fresh-faced young woman with worried eyes, interrupted hastily. Ma'am, I need you to step back. We can't help him if you're in the way. Help him? Help him how when you don't know what he has been involved in? The paramedic hesitated, frustration flaring. If you know something, now is the time to say it. Lisa felt the air thickening. They needed answers, but the unraveling of truths felt perilous. Before she could respond, another explosion rippled through the night, scattering the crowd into frantic movement. Now, Aaron grabbed her hand, urgency igniting her instinct to flee. We can't stay. But just as they turned, a shadow drifted closer, and with it, the inevitable realization that confronting the storm was their only chance. Let me go? Lisa shouted, pulling away from Aaron's grip, her decision cementing in her heart. She turned back to Mike, who was just about to slip into unconsciousness, still grabbing for her hand. Lisa, he breathed, you need to know. The past isn't as buried as it seems. They're coming for you. What do you mean they? The air wrapped around her throat, constricting. Mike, please. A figure Kevin re-emerged, The mocking smile etched on his face like a predator who had just scented a feast. TSK, TSK. Playing Hero 1T save you, Lisa. You'll drown in the secrets before the dawn breaks. Stop it, Aaron interjected, stepping forward. You have no right here. But it was too late. Kevin's dark allure began to weave itself into the tension. Really? You think you can shield her? Kevin laughed, his voice dripping with venom. The truth isn't is kind. Like I said, shadows carry weight. And you can guess what happens when they prey on the uninvited. Lisa's heart raced, the panic battling with a sense of purpose. What the hell are you talking about? She shouted, but doubt seeped in. What if they were all right? Just a warning for those who can't get out. You're tangled in a game you didn't even know started, Kevin sneered. And with that, the fragmented puzzle pieces began to shift in Lisa's mind. Slowly, the fragments coalesced. Mixed memories stirred a haze of whispers in dark corners, late-night meetings, and papers hurriedly taped over with caution. The tension had changed, become tangible. But even as fear clawed at her mind, she felt the crackle of resolution surge. You think you can scare me into silence? I'm not running anymore. Anyone in shadows deserves to be brought into the light. Time slowed for a beat, the crowd holding their breath. The truth weighed heavy as the sirens blared, beckoning for duty, but Lisa stood. Taller, determined, with one last look at Mike. Vulnerability etched in his features, her heart raced. She would seek answers before the shadows swallowed them whole. I will find the truth, she declared fiercely. That was when a flicker of awareness dawned in Mike's eyes, a glint deeper than pained recognition. You're stronger than I ever gave you credit for, Lisa, he whispered, and in that moment, everything shifted. Perhaps the past wouldn't shatter her future. Perhaps, together, they would fight against the shadows. I'll save you, I swear it, she promised, gripping his hand tightly as the crowd began to ripple with whispers of hope. No longer was Lisa simply battling against her fears, but rather stepping boldly toward the unknown, pushing the darkness back piece by piece. She looked into Mike's eyes, gratitude and determination blooming between them. It was a new beginning, and when the chaos finally dulled, she knew this confrontation wasn't just about saving Mike or uncovering secrets. It was about her reclaiming the narrative of her life. No more shadows, not for her, not for Mike. With courage ablaze, they each took the first step into their new light, determined to face whatever came next together, or maybe to face everything alone if necessary. Either way, they were done running. This was the moment. This was the truth welcomed at last. And as they stepped beyond the chaos and into the light, a sense of relief washed over them, intertwining with the threads of hope. Together, they would face anything that lay ahead, a united front against their shared past. And Lisa's heart finally knew she was truly free. Now as the credits rolled on this chapter, it was clear she was ready to rise above, perhaps even soar beyond everything that had once felt all-consuming. Thanks for joining Lisa on this turbulent ride. Now before you go, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that are sure to inspire and entertain. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this incredible journey alive. Let your voice be heard. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What did you think? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything. Together, we'll keep the stories coming.